ねえ、アレックス、お寿司好き？
好き。
じゃあ明日一緒にお寿司食べに行かない？
いいね。楽しみ。Welcome to Learn Japanese Pod with me, Alex, and
Asuka.
Asuka. How are you?
I'm good. It's hot.
It's hot. It's hot here in Tokyo. How's LA?
Dry, not humid, so I think it's a little bit easier, but it is still hot here in LA as well.
I'm completely jealous. 本当にここはね、超蒸し暑い。
やだね。
So, what is Learn Japanese Pod, Asuka?
A podcast to learn Japanese.
And you don't need a PhD to work that one out. Yeah, right. And it's a website and podcast for teaching you conversational Japanese. So this podcast is really aimed at people who want to improve their fluency and also improve their listening. And part of the reason I wanted to start this podcast was when I was studying Japanese, I was on my own. I didn't have a teacher. I didn't know what to study. And all I had was this weird textbook and a CD. You remember CDs, don't you, people? And I just used to read the dialogues and shadow the dialogues with the audio. And it was a really, really good method to get me started in Japanese. So this podcast is the podcast I wish I could have had when I was starting Japanese.
Tell me, how could we use this podcast?
The short explanation is listen, repeat. So basically, we've got a dialogue, which will teach you something like how to go shopping, asking directions. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to ask someone out for drinks or go eating with you at a restaurant. You can also download the PDFs, and we also have the extra dialogue-only MP3. So if you don't want to hear our blah, 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 you can just listen to the Japanese dialogues. So this is really great for beginners. Again, if you don't have anyone to practice with, you're on your own, you don't know what to study, this is a really great way to get into Japanese, in my humble opinion. But Asuka.
Yes, finally I get to speak.
You finally get to speak. How will you, when I say you, people benefit from listening to this podcast?
Well, I think one of the things that we received in the past of what they loved about Learn Japanese Pod was that it's very useful, you know, and it's very casual. Like, we make sure that we teach you things that we personally think are important, things that we would use if we were hanging out.
Yep. And
I think that's the most important thing sometimes is to have real life sort of conversation that's not based on, you know, the academia of Japanese or the language learning part, but what do we want to... And Japanese is so complex because there's a formal way of speaking, then there's a non-formal way of speaking, and then there's like this language style that we have that we communicate amongst like friends.
Right.
And that's really... I don't think they have a lot of that available, you know, in general.
So basically what you'll find is most textbooks you buy on Japanese will teach you the polite form from the beginning. Why? Because they're worried that you're going to offend people if you use the casual form. However, the problem is, in my experience, 90% of the Japanese I use is casual style. But in Learn Japanese Pod, we're going to teach you both. So it's awesome. And I think another thing I'd like to teach is you'll discover that even if you aren't a genius at languages, you can definitely learn to speak Japanese. We break everything down into easy to understand bite-sized chunks, and I think you'll also find yourself speaking Japanese in no time at all and feeling rather proud of yourself. You'll feel smarter, more open-minded, and generally pretty smug. I'm sorry, it can't be helped. And that's what you're going to learn. So anyway, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. That's our blah, blah, blah out the way. Let's go study, shall we?
Absolutely.
Let's do the first dialogue again, if you would, Asuka.
ねえ、アレックス、 お寿司好き？
好き、好き。
じゃあ明日一緒にお寿司食べに行かない？
いいね、楽しみ。Okay, good. So let's break that down. Very first sound, ne. That means, hey. Very useful. Ne, ne, ne. So it's a common way to open a conversation. Ne. Arekkusu, Alex. Or sushi ski. What does that mean?
Osushi means sushi.
Sushi.
And if you realize that there's an O in front of sushi, osushi, it's sort of a polite way of saying sushi.
Right.
So sometimes, putting an O in front, like oka-san, you won't say oarekkusu because Alex already has a name.
Yeah. Right.
But in the old times, they would call each other and put an O in front of the name.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Didn't
but
know
the
that.
names used to be very short. Like my grandmother's name was Hatsu. She was probably called when she was much younger, Ohatsu.
No way.
Yeah.
I totally didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. Huh,
Right?
huh.
And so anyway, osushi is probably the way that you want to say. But if you're a guy, you can get away with just saying sushi.
Yeah, okay. That's good, yeah. So, ne, Alex, osushi ski. So,
And
sushi, ski. Yeah, what's ski?
it means to like.
Right.
Very important because in Japanese, we do not say I love. Suki just becomes everything. Love, I love you, I like this, I like that, I don't like that. So suki is a very important word.
It's actually between lovers. It's quite rare to say aishiteru, which means literally I love you. It's actually quite rare. It's more common to say ski. So ski is kind of like
Yes.
love in English, like you love ice cream or you love someone. So ski means you like, basically. Okay, so ne, Alex, or sushi ski. Hey, Alex, do you like sushi? And then I said, which is uh-huh, and not uh-uh. So is just, yeah. Ski. I like. This is a wonderful thing about Japanese. It's quite minimal. You don't necessarily have to have the subject of the sentence. You don't necessarily need to say I like. You can just say yes, like. Okay? Then you said,
じゃあ明日一緒にお寿司食べに行かない？
so what does ja mean?
Well,
Good. So ja is a bit like ne. It's a sentence opener or a conversation opener. And ja is like, well then. Ashita means.
tomorrow,
Issho ni means.
together,
Or sushi means sushi.
sushi.
Then tabe ni ikanai.
Shouldn't we go eat together?
Yeah, right. Literally. Shouldn't we eat? So tabe means eat. Ikanai, don't go. Or tabe ni ikanai is a really useful structure or piece of grammar. It's like, won't you eat sushi with me? Or in other words, hey, let's get some sushi. And then I said, ii ne.
Which means that's a great idea.
And by the way, if you're on Facebook, like button is ii ne.
Yes, it's ine in Japanese.
It's actually, this sounds like a very modern conversation. Hey, do you want to grab some sushi?
Like.
That's kind of scary. And then last one is tanoshimi. Tanoshimi.
Which means I'm looking forward to it.
Let's do it one more time. Ne, Asuka, osushi suki?
好き。
じゃあ、明日一緒にお寿司食べに行かない？
いいね。楽しみ。
Hey, Asuka, sushi like? Yes, like. This is why I love Japanese. It's so cool. It's so minimal. I love it. Well, tomorrow, together, sushi eat. Won't
Shouldn't
go?
we?
Shouldn't we? And it's like, good.
Like. Looking forward.
So, one thing I really, really want you lovely, beautiful, good-looking Learn Japanese pod listeners to know is that you can communicate more with less in Japanese, which is why basic Japanese conversation is such an awesome thing to learn. I think it actually takes a shorter time to learn basic Japanese conversation than, say, maybe Spanish or Italian or English where you have to have a bit more information. But yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's drill this dialogue, but this time let's change some vocabulary around, okay?
Okay.
Okay, good. So this time, Asuka, why don't you ask me to eat shabu shabu?
Okay.
What's shabu shabu, by the way?
Shabu shabu is this thinly sliced, probably usually beef, that we sort of wash it in hot broth.
Uh-huh.
And then while it does that, it cooks. And then we have a couple of different sauces that we dip it in and we eat. And there's meat and vegetables and tofu and all these yummy stuff that you eat.
It's hella good.
And it's healthy too.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I love this stuff. Okay, so please ask me to eat shabu shabu with you.
ねえ、アレックス、しゃぶしゃぶ好き？
好き。
じゃあ明日一緒にしゃぶしゃぶ食べに行かない？
いいね、楽しみ。Okay, great. That's pretty easy, right? Okay, next one. Let's do... okay. So what if you asked me to go drinking? Because before we said osushi tabe ni ikanai and we said shabu shabu tabe ni ikanai. But what about drinking? So could you ask me to go drink a beer with you?
明日一緒にビール飲みに行かない？
Okay, great. There you go. So let's drill that one then.
ねえ、アレックス、ビール好き？
好き。
じゃあ明日一緒にビール飲みに行かない？
いいね、楽しみ。There you go. So the only difference between that one was 明日一緒にビール飲みに行かない. So 飲み is to drink. 飲みに行かない as opposed to 食べに行かない. Awesome. Let's do another one. How about sake?
So, sake is 日本酒？
日本酒. Okay.
ねえ、アレックス、日本酒好き？
好き。
じゃあ明日一緒に日本酒飲みに行かない？
いいね、楽しみ. Okay, Asuka, that's great. Now, one thing I would love you to teach me is how do I turn down an invitation? Because sometimes I'm busy tomorrow. That's a really weird. Sometimes I'm busy tomorrow. Sometimes when you're busy, you want to turn it down. So how would you do that? So if I said to you, so ne Asuka, osushi好き? And then you say,
好き。
I said, じゃあ明日一緒にお寿司食べに行かない? But you are busy. What would you say?
明日はちょっと忙しいかも。
Okay, good. So, so that means, well, 明日, tomorrow, ちょっと, a little, 忙しい, busy. かも, maybe.
Yeah. So one of the things about the Japanese language that Alex and I absolutely love is the vagueness that the Japanese language actually allows you to have. And this is partially because Japanese people do not like to be very direct, especially when it's saying something like no or something that's negative. In this case, you know, someone's inviting me. Well, Alex is inviting me to eat sushi tomorrow, but I really don't like him. So I'm going to be like, instead of saying like, oh, no, I can't because I really don't like you. I'm going to just use maybe I'm just too busy and I'm not sure if I can make it. But I'm not really saying no, but I'm just insinuating that I may be busy, so this might not work out. Right. Therefore, we may not go together.
Right.
So there's a lot of like reading between the lines, and you just kind of throw it out there as a maybe no. Japanese people love the maybe no.
And I think another kind of difference, again, so I'm a Brit. Asuka, you're an international Jin.
Yeah.
But like
I'm a hybrid Japanese.
You're hybrid Japanese. She's a hybrid. She's part awesome and win. It depends on the person, but maybe in the States or England, say, hey, let's go drinking. And then you say, I'm a bit busy. And then the other one will kind of needle you. Oh, come on, don't be a wuss. Let's go drinking. But in Japan, you say, hey, let's go drinking. You say, actually, I might be a little ... And the other one says, oh, no, it's okay. Janai?
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, good. So it's really cool. So hang on, let's see. So you say, 明日はちょっと忙しいかも. So, oh, tomorrow's a bit busy. And then how would I say, okay, well, maybe next time? How do you say that in Japanese?
じゃあまた今度ね。
Oh, okay. So, じゃあ, so, well, また, again, 今度, next time, ね, won't we? So, じゃあまた今度ね. Okay, that's great. Awesome.
So it's like a very easy way of not taking it personal and be like, oh, yeah, it's like, じゃあまた今度ね. It's like, next time, you know? Just make it very casual, very easy. No pressure on the person who said no, you know, even though I don't like you, Alex. It's like, no, また今度ね. And I'm thinking deep inside there will be no また今度. But that's okay.
There's a really cool word you should learn. It's called shakojire.
Yeah.
So this is kind of an advanced word, but you should know. It's kind of like, you know, you see someone at a party, hey, yeah, just call me up anytime. Let's go hang out. And you say, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then you never call each other.
Exactly.
Because life, you know, whatever.
That's every day in LA, by the way.
You see, humans are more similar than you think. Hey, let's just drill that last one more time. Let's drill that.
Sure.
So you basically hate me and don't want to eat sushi with me, and then you turn me down. So, ねえ、Asuka、お寿司好き？
好き好き。
じゃあ、明日、一緒にお寿司食べに行かない？
明日はちょっと忙しいかも。
じゃあ、また今度ね。
ありがとう。またね。
またね。Yeah, good. Okay, cool. And now it's time for Random Phrase of the Week. So, Asuka, what on earth is this segment, Random Phrase of the Week?
So, we came up with this segment, Random Phrase of the Week, which are kind of words or phrases that we find appropriate or not appropriate, but comes along quite often in our casual conversations, and we find them either funny or like right on the dot.
Yeah.
Or something that just doesn't exist in the English language.
Right.
And, you know, it's kind of fun and funny and great to use. And once you start using these random phrases, people will be like, oh, wow, that person really knows Japanese.
Yeah, we're hoping that if we teach you these random phrases that you don't learn in the beginning pages of your Japanese textbook, you can actually get a lot of mileage out of this with conversations with your Japanese buddies and friends. Because, like, if you use these words, your Japanese friends are going to say, time out. How the hell do you know that word? And say, well, I've been listening to this podcast called Learn Japanese Pod. And I'm like, what? Anyway, so today's random phrase of the week is
Dotakyan.
Dotakyan. What is dotakyan?
Okay, so Japanese people love to abbreviate. This comes with, like, you know, the names and activities and certain areas and we just love to abbreviate, and it becomes sort of like a fad word.
Right.
So dotakyan literally means to cancel on someone without much notice. So the day of or a couple hours before you're supposed to hang out. Canceling basically means, you know, you're kind of letting them, how do you say it? Like you're standing them up without really giving formal notices or having sort of like an agreement that both of you are not going to be there or not going to hang out.
You just get a text message that says, hey, sorry, can't make it.
Exactly.
Bye.
So it's a negative thing. Like, you don't want to do too many dotakyan because then you're not going to be asked to go out anymore. But before I get into that, so the two words here that kind of got combined and got abbreviated is dotamba canceru.
Dotamba canceru. So canceru is
to cancel.
Cancel, right? Dotamba is what
means to the very moment. So dotamba is like when you're just so busy and you're like, wow, it's like, oh no, right now I can't do it, and you're just kind of giving it up at that moment. So dotamba is sort of like, you know, by the sound of it, it sounds like you're in a huge mess.
Yeah.
Dotabata, you know, and dotamba. So you're canceling because you haven't figured out and you're not organized and something came up and you're very much like pulling your hair out, and that's why you're canceling. Because in general, Japanese people are really good and meticulous about keeping promises.
Oh, Matt, seriously, like turn up on time and there is no excuse in Japan. I don't care if there's a typhoon or a massive green lizard is eating your city. Turn up on time. But that's another podcast.
Yes. So, dotamba cancel is they took the dota from the dotamba and cancel, can for the cancel, and they put dota can.
Very interesting. So how would you use it in a sentence?
I'd be like, maybe talking to a girlfriend and be like, ねえ、アレックスにドタキャンされたよ。
アレックスにドタキャンされたの。So, アレックスに、so, アレックスに It's a particle that means by. アレックスにドタキャン suddenly cancelled. された is passive verb. I was cancelled upon
Yes.
by
I was
Alex.
cancelled by Alex, but dotaken is much worse than just like, oh, you know, we had to like rain check and reorganize our schedule. It's like we were supposed to meet and he didn't come.
Yeah, he totally stood me up.
Yes.
That's what it means. So,
Yes.
アレックスにドタキャンされたの。Yeah.
Right. But the difference between standing up and dotaken is that dotaken means that they actually called or texted or gave you some kind of notice that they weren't coming.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Right.
Yeah.
Because if you stand someone up, it means you just didn't.
Yeah.
With it.
That's a no-show. So dotaken is not equal to no-show. Dotaken actually means that they've canceled, but like at the very last minute.
Right. It's a last minute cancellation.
Yes.
Okay. That's what it means. So use it loud, use it proud. And don't you dotakian on anyone, okay?
Absolutely. You will be hated.
Hey, Asuka, thank you so much for teaching us the lovely Nihongo Japanese. That was very kind and awesome of you.
You're welcome.
Beautiful, wonderful, good-looking listeners, please email us with your questions, comments, or whatever at info@learnjapanesepod.com. That's info@learnjapanesepod.com. Please join our free members area. Free members area, you can get free PDF downloads of the show notes. You can get extra lessons that aren't available on the iTunes feed or on the front page of the website. Please listen to the dialogue only podcasts after this one so you can practice shadowing. So all the dialogues in this, we've just put them in files so you can just easily practice them. Now, if you enjoyed this podcast and you would like to show your support, please tell your friends about us on Facebook, Twitter, any social media platform you're using. It would be massively helpful. You can also use email or smoke signals or carrier pigeon. Anyway, we don't care. Please tell your friends. Another massively helpful thing would be to leave an iTunes review. If you do that, it helps us to get the word out. More importantly, getting your feedback is really, really helpful for us to improve the podcast. So please tell your friends about us on social media and please leave an iTunes review. If you leave an iTunes review, we will read it out on the podcast and you will be famous. How about that? And find us on iTunes. Do a search for Learn Japanese Pod. If you see the little green monster, that's us. We're a little green monster. Hey, thanks for listening. See you next time. ありがとう、アスカ。
ありがとう。
またね。
またね。